baby! UFC Vegas 56 post-show! Live! It starts now! Yes!
And we're so excited because it's 6:48 p.m. Eastern time, and a UFC fight card it's done. It's over. It is wrapped. And it was capped off by a first-round TKO win for Alexander Volkov against Jairzinho Rozenstruik. He gets it done, ends it quickly, just over 2 minutes. We had a tremendous performance from Movsar Evloev in the co-main event. All in all, pretty fun day, pretty fun card. And I like the fact that it started at 1 p.m. Eastern. We have all this energy. It's before 7 p.m. Eastern, and we're here to talk about it with all of you. So thank you for joining us. I am Mike Heck, joined by my best friend, once again, the Prince of Positivity, Mr. Alexander Kaylee. Hi, AK.
My best friend, hello. Yeah, let's be honest with people. Sometimes, listen, we love doing this show. We always love doing this show. Okay, that's never in doubt. Why am I so dim? Casey, I need help with my lighting over. Anyway, we always love doing post-fight shows and being here for you, the listeners and the viewers. But sometimes it's 3 a.m. On the East Coast, and we're dragging our asses a little bit. Okay, I'll be honest. We're dragging our asses a little bit. But today, there shall be no ass dragging. There shall be no dragging of the asses, and you guys are getting like 100% quality Mike, Casey, and myself.
Yes, Casey is here on the ones and twos as well. But AK, let's start with this main event, my best friend. Alexander Volkov stops Jairzinho Rozenstruik in the first round, just over 2 minutes. If you said that this fight was going to be stopped in just over 2 minutes of the first round, you probably weren't going with Alexander Volkov to have that number next to his name. You would have thought maybe Jairzinho Rozenstruik would have that number next to his name. Volkov gets it done. And once again, AK, our good buddy Herb Dean finds himself in the middle of potential refereeing controversy because Volkov lands a big right hand. I thought Jairzinho was in big trouble. Fight is stopped. Jairzinho protests, and a lot of other people seem to protest it as well. Now I was doing the live blog while I was trying to look at the computer screen, look at the TV screen, kind of go back and forth to try to recap this fight as it was happening. Didn't have an issue with the stoppage. Looking at the replay, I guess I could see why there's an argument here, but I still ultimately don't have a giant issue with the stoppage. Your thoughts on the stoppage? Was it too early? Did you have an issue with it?
It's fine. It's fine. It was early, but not bad. Not all early stoppages are bad. He certainly could have given Jairzinho a little more time to work out of that situation. But I mean, man, when you see that mouthpiece go flying and the punches, those hard punches coming in, your first instinct is to step in. A more than fair criticism is that, man, the problem with Herb is sometimes he's just so hesitant. Like, he's got to be definitive. He's really got to step in there and make it clear, because I think that's part of the frustration for Jairzinho is like it wasn't clear to him that the fight had been stopped. So he's like, what the hell's going on? Maybe he was also dazed from the punches, so that contributed to it. So the execution of the stoppage, again, has to be better. I don't mind the timing. Once I saw that mouthpiece fly out, I was like, oh man, like Jairzinho is in serious trouble. That doesn't mean he's completely out of it, but I think it was only going to get worse from there. So early, yes, everyone calling it early, I think completely accurate, but not bad. It was early, and it stopped a fighter from probably getting knocked out anyway, and just getting really badly hurt. So yeah, I mean, Jairzinho has every right to be frustrated, and I'm sure he's not going to look back on, even after he reviews the footage, he's still going to see like, man, I really could have come back. I really wish Herb hadn't stepped in there. But he got put in a really bad position, and I think we should give a lot of praise, mostly to Mr. Volkov, for coming out of the gates hot, something he hasn't always done. This is his first round finish in 6 years. He's certainly had some impressive knockouts since then, but never this quickly. Does not usually put people out in the opening round, but he did this time. So all the props to him. I understand the Herb Dean criticism. I'm okay with it. I think he did fine, but it was early. Just not early in a bad way, in my opinion. But it's certainly not clear cut.
Yep, I have no issue with the actual stoppage itself. I'm completely with you that I have an issue with him being like, he's on like wobbly legs almost. He's so unsure of himself. It annoys me about Herb and these stoppages. I didn't think it was an early stoppage. It's just him being so unsure about it. Like, Jairzinho is probably looking at him. he's thinking about it and then he's not thinking about it. He's doing the freaking hokey pokey and turning it all around and then finally stops the damn fight. I can understand the frustration from that aspect, but the turning point, AK, for me in the fight, and let me see if you agree with this, is, Volkov comes out, he's landing the leg kicks, he's landing the jab. The leg kicks were clearly adding up. Jairzinho was starting the fight. I was like, oh boy, this is just going to be 25 minutes of this. Jairzinho doesn't look like he's doing anything. But then he explodes a little bit, puts Volkov on the back foot slightly, and then he lands this insane right hand, just launches it at him, hits him with everything he has. And then Volkov's like, okay. And then he actually smiled at Jairzinho, and not like I'm hurt really badly, but I'm going to smile at you to make you think that I'm not hurt. This was all right, you just gave me your best shot and I took it, and now you're done look. And then from there, Volkov lands the right hand and the fight is over thereafter. Did you notice that as well? That Jairzinho just landed the big shot, Volkov didn't go down, and you just felt like, oh boy, this is not going to be a good night for Biggie Boy.
Yeah, because I think anyone who watched our previous show, we were kind of like, man, we want to see that aggressive Jairzinho come out. I said first round knockout. I picked that for fun. I think you said second or third.
I said second.
You said second. I think Jed said third. So we were all kind of hoping to see an explosive knockout. And hey, Jairzinho came out, like you said, he came out good. Landed a clean shot. That will put down the Alan Crowders of the world. Not enough to put down the Volkovs, unfortunately. Very, very good chin. I mean, normally a guy's been around that long, you'd say, you think there'd be some wear and tear there, and he's certainly been knocked out before, but he's got good defense too, and yeah, I'm sure he's not feeling great. I'm sure his jaw's gonna be sore as hell later, but he took it, and yeah, that's when we all kind of knew, like, oh man, maybe this isn't gonna go the way it could go for Jairzinho. And hey, and maybe if he had time to recover and gone to the later rounds, still could have found that knockout. But for sure, Volkov showing that resilience, showing that chin, and showing he still has plenty. He has a lot of knockouts in his career, and he can still get it done. So yeah, weird. There was some. I remember we were asking the Q&A, Mike. That was there some disrespect for Volkov? Yeah, for sure. I think so, for sure. Definitely, as far as saying who could finish who. Most of us were like Volkov by decision, Jairzinho by knockout. So hey, props to Volkov for turning that around on all of us. That was great.
Yes, I agree. Big win. It kind of puts Volkov in the same position he's in, and Jairzinho Rozenstruik is in a pretty awful position because he's probably going to have to fight like Alexander Romanov now, and that is not fun for anybody. But good win for Volkov. The big question coming out of it is just how damn powerful is Derek Lewis, because he just needed one really to knock Volkov out, and Jairzinho hit him with one that looked just as good, but didn't do any damage to the man whatsoever. So good win for Volkov. I get where you're coming from, where some people thought there was some disrespect. I think most people expected Volkov to win this fight, and he was the more skilled fighter, but he was kind of I don't know if boring was the right word, but some people was kind of like, he's kind of the boring choice. He'll probably win a 25-minute decision, while if this fight gets finished, it's going to come from Jairzinho. So I get where you're coming from there, AK.
Is it possible to get Biggie Boy on kind of the Tai Tuivasa rehabilitation track? Now, Tai, after his first sort of run in the UFC, like going 3-0, his start to the UFC didn't climb as high as Jairzinho. Jairzinho is in the top 10. I don't think Tuivasa, at least according to the UFC rankings, not they matter, ever made it past 13-12, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he was ever ranked in the top 10 where Jairzinho is now. So I wish Jairzinho could get pulled back to kind of that range that Tuivasa got pulled into. Because Tuivasa, before the Lewis win, here's who he fought. He went a 3-fight losing streak. Then he fought Stefan Struve, a good fighter, but kind of on his way out. Harry Hunsucker, the infamous Greg Hardy, and Augusto Sakai. So, Sakai and Struve, certainly quality names, but very winnable fights for Tuivasa. I'm sure there's winnable fights for Rozenstruik in the top 10, but it would be cool if, again, for a guy who is still pretty inexperienced in MMA, they could kind of scale down the matchmaking just a touch, just kind of pull him back a little bit. Like, I know it's the UFC, they won't necessarily do that, and they don't care. And I'm sure Rozenstruik only wants to fight top 10 guys, but it would be cool if we could get him some less tough, less difficult competition.
Okay, we don't have bonuses yet, as we are live right now.
I think we do.
Oh, we do?
I think we do. Yeah, so I can't guess. I've seen them.
Oh, okay.
But go ahead, guys. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Ode Osborne gets himself 50 Gs. Karine Silva gets 50 Gs for her finish of Poliana Botelho, and not really a big surprise for fight of the night. Mike Trezano and Lucas Almeida. Those two tore the damn house down. They tore the roof off the joint, AK. It was a great fight. Do you agree with the bonus selections here?
Oh, so you just saw them. That wasn't your guesses.
I saw them.
No, I thought you were guessing.
I showed them out.
Okay, I thought you were guessing. I was like, amazing, Mike, 4 for 4, right on point, fantastic. No,
I nailed it.
No,
I nailed it.
Yeah, those are all good. They obviously they weren't going to give it to Volkov because there's just it wasn't the most satisfying finish, and that wasn't going to happen. You had to give fight of the night, so I mean, and Almeida and Trezano was wild and super fun, so well deserved for them. Osborne's finish was fantastic. I don't think you can take away from, man, they're really good finishes. Like, I would love if we could give a bonus to Movsar Evloev, just for having such a, well, I know we'll talk about him more in a bit, but having such a strong performance against like such a tough, like top 10 gatekeeper and Dan Ige. But when you have this many finishes to choose from, you're not going to go with the guy who won by decision. I understand that. Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. Alonzo Menafield would have been funny.
That'd have been awesome. Are you kidding me?
That would have been funny, but I don't think you can reward a guy. Well, they should have rewarded him for
Of course they should have.
For finishing a man who tried to make a fool out of the UFC, and Askar Mozarov and Tony Gravely would have been nice too. I think maybe that just confused. There's so many ways he could have gone. This is one of those nights where you wish everyone who got a finish or put on a good performance got an extra 50 Gs. So again, hopefully they take care of these guys backstage or the next time contract negotiations come around. Because Erin Blanchfield had a really good finish too. Karolina Kowalkiewicz just so emotional. So a lot of good moments. But I don't think, I can't fault the two performance bonuses they picked in the fight of the night. I think it's pretty solid. I just would have gone. I don't think I would have replaced either of them. Maybe Tony Gravely instead of Karina Silva. But Karina Silva was really good. So yeah, can't complain.
It was really good. I would have given it to Kowalkiewicz over Karina, if we're being honest. I thought I just snapping that long losing streak. She dominated Felice Herrig. That finish was really good. Just like, we're gonna remember Karolina's finish a lot more than Karina Silva's finish. What we're thinking about, if we ever talk about this card again, we're gonna be thinking about Karolina's finish way more. So congratulations to the bonus winners. They got it done. Interesting night of fight, interesting day of fights. Let's talk about Movsar Evloev, AK, because Dan Ige, first few minutes of that fight, was looking pretty sharp. He was landing some shots. He was looking good. And then the flying knee from hell from Movsar Evloev, which would have knocked out pretty much anybody else in this division, except for Dan Ige and maybe Calvin Kattar. I could probably put Max Holloway on that list. But that was such a vicious and beautifully timed flying knee. Cuts open Dan Ige. He's a bloody mess. Ige, of course, tough as anything, survives it, continues to fight on, and Evloev goes on to sweep the judges' scorecards, gets it done, and Ige had his moments and was a gamer as expected, as no one's surprised by that. But man, how good is Movsar Evloev? Is this guy for real, AK? Are you higher on him now than you were heading into this fight, or is this kind of what you expected?
I mean, and again, in our sort of prospect rankings we did earlier this week on the Ranking Show podcast, I kind of put him just behind Ilia Topuria. But yeah, with all the question marks about Topuria, is he going to be sticking around at featherweight? Is lightweight his future? Man, you might want to jump Movsar above him, because it was first of all, great piece of matchmaking today. I think we all thought when this matchup was together, perfect matchup for Evloev. You want to gauge how good this guy is. You give him a guy like Dan Ige. Dan Ige never gets finished. Really good all-around fighter. He's got knockout power. He's got great jiu-jitsu. So you want to test someone coming up. You want to test how real their undefeated record is. This is the guy you put him up against. And we were all pretty accurate with our predictions as well. If people can go back to the previous show, we all kind of said the same thing. It'll be a convincing and impressive win for Evloev, but not just because Ige isn't on his level. The fact is, Ige is a really good fighter. And to see Evloev perform the way he did tonight, that's what makes it so impressive, is that he at times made Ige look like, a guy who wasn't on his level. So not surprised he didn't get the finish. I think he got 130-26 on the scorecards. Well-deserved. You probably, I don't think it was overwhelmingly around that needed to be a 10-8, but certainly glad he got one. I think it does reflect the quality of his performance. So yeah, super high on him. I mean, when you've got that strong of a wrestling base, plus, some legitimately some legitimately exciting stand-up skills. I mean, you have got yourself a guy who, and the right call-outs after too. Arnold Allen, people saying Bryce Mitchell, same fight, Bryce Mitchell. I mean, he's got some really, really good opportunities ahead of him. So it's just really exciting.
Calls out on Arnold Allen, said, let's go in UK. Basically said that Allen has ducked him and turned him down and that he won't answer the phone when it comes to fighting Evloev. Do you like that? Was that the right call out for you? Do you like that one?
Arnold Allen was a great call out. Like I said, I think there's a lot of good options out there. But yeah, I if he can get that fight, that is the one, because Arnold, and if you're Arnold Allen, I think you should want that fight too, because for a lot of us, our two biggest critiques for Arnold Allen is he's just not active enough. You know, he just hasn't been able to get in there. And there's been some questions about his level of competition. I mean, he has good names. Gilbert Melendez was a nice win. I mean, even when it happened, I know Melendez, was far from his prime, but on paper, a nice win. Dan Hooker, a nice win on paper. Not a guy who's really a featherweight contender, but well-liked by the fans, was ranked at lightweight. But there's all these caveats with the guys that Allen's beaten. If he fights Evloev and puts on a good performance, win or lose, it'll tell us a lot about where Arnold Allen is, because some people think that guy's already a top 5 talent, Jed Meshew, for example. And some people think, again, he hasn't quite got the names on his resume to make him a surefire, like someone who really belongs to be in that top 5 or even top 6, top 7, top 8. And I think Evloev has very firmly put himself in that discussion with that performance today. So if you're Allen, I think you would happily take that, especially if you can get it in a home date, or at least somewhere closer to home. And if you have Evloev, yeah, very smart and very, very quality Khabib-like promo. By the way, I tweeted that I think Khabib has been more influential on the UFC promo game than even Conor McGregor, because how many people copy Khabib's kind of style, his phrases, and how much does that stick with fans? I think it's really effective. So maybe a little derivative, but I think people are definitely going to remember everything Evloev did tonight.
It's kind of torn down the middle on Twitter on how people viewed the call out. Some people thought it was a great call out and they want to see the fight, and other people, most notably Arnold Allen fans, are like, oh, come on, the guy's 9-0 in the UFC. Why would he take such a big step back against this guy in Evloev? And that is not a step back. And I'm going to say this right now. I would favor Evloev like minus 200 right out the gate against Arnold Allen. And I like Arnold a lot. I think Evloev is just such a big problem at 145. And here's the thing. I kind of agree with you, AK, that if you're going to do this fight, now's the time. Like, if you're going to do it in England, do it on your home turf, and fight this guy before he gets as good as he's going to get. Because guess what? He's only going to get better and scarier and more complete. That was a great performance. He's only going to get better. So if you're going to do it, you got to get him now. It's kind of like the Chimaev thing. Like, if you're going to fight Chimaev, like if you've been calling for like Usman to fight Chimaev, like if you're going to fight this guy, fight him now. Yep. That's kind of how I view Evloev right now at 145. If you're going to fight this dude, now's the time to do it, because if you wait a year or wait 18 months, he's going to be a completely different guy. And that's frightening.
I'm trying to think. Like, I think he'd be, like you said, favored over Allen, certainly favored over Korean Zombie, definitely favored over Chikadze. Depending how the Cater Emmett fight goes, he can be favored over one of those guys. Same with I'd even go as far as say Ortega Rodriguez. I think it's gonna be an awesome fight. Man, I wonder if he'd be favored against one of them. Probably not. That's probably where we have to draw the line. I think either Yair or Ortega would be favored to Evloev, but boy, it wouldn't be by a lot. I think at most like minus 150, minus 160. So that's pretty crazy when you consider what they've accomplished in their UFC careers and how fresh his still is.
Very impressive. Love the Almeida Trezano fight. Good stuff. Karine Silva, great Darce choke. That was nasty. Got it done with, I think, 5 seconds left in the round. Ode Osborne, great performance. Alonzo Metafield gets it done against Askar Mozarov. The fight that I was looking forward to the most, the fight I took a flyer on Mozarov because MMA is just chaotic, and I try to choose chaos when I think things are kind of fishy and weird. And there was a moment where Metafield landed a right hand like 2 seconds into it, and I thought the fight was going to be over like right there. And then he gets the takedown, and Mozarov gets back up to his feet. And I'm like, oh my God, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. He lands some shots, and then Metafield takes him down and just slaughters him on the ground in that crucifix. Such a crazy fight. Karolina Kowalkiewicz gets the win. Happy trails to Felice Herrig, the little bulldog. She has announced her retirement after an 8-year run in the UFC, 24 pro fights. And yeah, good on her. Joe Solecki, that's a weird one. Okay, let's go to this one, okay? Let's go to Joe Solecki and Alex Da Silva, because this is a weird fight. And this is just a weird night in general, because remember what we've talked about? Every time it's the judges' scorecards and open scoring and all the blah, blah, blah. Who gives a crap about any of that stuff? The big issue that we are seeing right now are these referees, okay? You talk about Herb Dean not having the, as Mick Foley has so eloquently put it over the years, the testicular fortitude to say, hey, this fight is over. This is unbelievable. Mark Smith, Chris Taioni, shame on both of you for how many warnings did you two issue combined tonight? 75?
And
we took 1 point? 1 point?
Can we at least praise Chris Taioni for doing it when he finally took a point, for doing it in the right way?
He should have taken 5 points, AK.
Okay, but you know, at least when he did it. He kind of displayed the textbook way to do it, which is he didn't stop the fight. You know, he let Solecki keep his advantageous position, and he kind of signaled to the scorers like, oh, keep in mind 1 point after the round, and then Da Silva was super confused when it was happening after when he was kind of doing the point at the end of the round, but at least that was the right way to do it. He should have done it more. All the referees should have addressed that issue more, certainly. But I at least like the way it was handled.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I saw people like on Twitter praising Chris Taioni. Great refereeing, Chris. Are you kidding me? Are you joking? He gave a dozen warnings in like 90 seconds, and he finally takes 1 point away. 10-7 round? That should have been like a 10-4 round. How many times are you going to let this guy grab the cage, put his toes inside the links there? Are you kidding me? And then, what was the other fight? Andreas Michailidis and Fakhretdinov? How many times did Michailidis grab the cage in the first round? 7?
And no penalty.
Mark Smith just warning, 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 stern warning. And then the horn sounds after the first round. Andreas, buddy, pal, if you do it again, I might take a point. Like, come on. We got to start taking points more. This is why, like, people gave us so much crap about the Tim Elliott and the cheating things. Not cheat. If no one's going to call anything, why aren't you taking these advantages?
Refereeing is hard. We gotta make this. Listen. The refereeing is hard. We gotta make this easy for them. Just make grabbing the fence legal. Just make grabbing the fence.
There you go.
Everyone's doing it anyway. Everyone's doing it. Just make it legal. There you go. Take the guesswork out of it. Take the hesitation. Take the hesitation out of it. Let people grab the fence. I tweeted.
Grab the gloves. Grab the gloves. That happened all night too.
Imagine if Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje and all the guys that Habib beat up had been able to do some fence grabbing. What a change! We wouldn't even be talking about Habib as the GOAT. Habib wouldn't even be in the top 10 because he'd be doing some beautiful wrestling, and people would be having their hands clinging for dear life against the fence. There you go. Make it legal, and then we never have to worry about it again. I don't know, because if you're not going to call it, then why even have it in the rules?
It happens.
You're completely right.
It happened 25 times tonight. 25 times. Toes or fingers were in the cage.
It is such a game-changing infraction too, because what we all know one takedown can change the entire complexion of a fight. Now, I think the good thing is none of the fights tonight, all the people who were fence grabbing lost, right?
Yes, but the Solecki Da Silva fight was really interesting because Solecki, you can make the argument Solecki would have submitted that Da Silva had those infractions not happened.
Sure.
Now, eventually the point got taken away. Solecki got the win, and that was kind of weird because most people felt Da Silva won the first and the third round. The only question on people's minds was Solecki's round a 10-8? Because if it was, that's actually a 10-7. And even if Solecki lost the round, he wins the fight. And that was like the big discussion on Twitter after the second round. Was it a 10-8, now a 10-7, or was it a 10-9 because there wasn't enough quote-unquote damage? Turns out one judge scored it a 10-7, and then good old Sal D'Amato gave Joe Solecki the third round to give him to win, which is kind of crazy. So did you agree with the decision that Solecki won that fight, or was this draw city?
I mean, I wasn't scoring the fight closely. I'll be honest. Because people know on Fight Night we're usually covering a bunch of other things. I was aware, of course, when the penalty got called, and I was keeping on the second round, but I don't know how dominant it was. I don't know if it was a 10-8. I saw a lot of people calling for that. I also saw some people saying De Silva won the fight after. Terrence McKinney was on there saying De Silva won. I don't think that's possible given the penalty. So that was, but again, he's probably like me. He's watching the fight, but not necessarily actively scoring. So, yeah, I'm fine with the way it played out. I'd have to watch it like clearly to get an exact score for it, but it feels like justice was served. It feels like just like he was rewarded for his efforts. A draw might have been more fair in the end. Again, I'd have to watch it, but yeah, certainly the one thing we could not have tonight was a De Silva win. So in that sense, I guess justice was partially served.
Yes. What else was kind of Damon Jackson? Daniel Argueta made things a little interesting for the biggest favorite on the card. Benoit Saint-Denis gets his first finish of his UFC career.
Good for him. Someone asked us, Mike, before. Remember, is he? Why aren't people talking about him more? And I said because half the story was him coming back after that horrible fight where both his team and the referee let him down. I was Elizeu Zaleski, right? Elizeu Zaleski was just putting an all-time beating on him, and it should have been stopped way earlier. Somehow it ended up going to the scorecard. It's just horrible. So the first part is great to see him back, but the second part was how would he perform, and he was just excellent wrestling against Nicholas Stolze and gets a submission. So yeah, you know what? I said he should be one of the most talked about fighters after, and you're right. Let's give Benoit Saint-Denis his flowers because that was great. Good for him.
Yes. Tony Gravely, nasty knockout. Renat Fegredinov, this dude's a monster. Real good. Andreas Michailidis drops to 170, but Fegredinov was really good, really nasty. A lot of fence grabs. That fight, you could make an argument, could have been over in the first round had there not been tomfoolery and fence grabbing and glove grabbing. Erin Blanchfield, what an interesting fight that was. We watched it live together, AK, losing 7 minutes and 30 seconds of that fight, and then lands the knee. JJ Aldrich falls down. Blanchfield grabs the neck. Nasty guillotine. Fight's over. So good learning experience for Erin Blanchfield. She's going to grow from that. The other fight that there's a conversation about the judging. Jeff Molina versus Zhalgas Zhumagulov. And I think the big moment was when they're reading off the cards, one judge scores it for Molina, one judge scores it for Zhumagulov, and then Joe Martinez reads it 30-27 for your winner by split decision. Molina is getting ready to run back to Kansas City in disappointment, and he yells, Jeff Molina. And Jeff's like, whoa, me? Like he just got picked to go down to contestants row on The Price is Right. It was unbelievable to see the reaction there. So now you see the media cards. I know we don't like to throw out the R word, the robbery word out too often. This is a close fight, a close competitive fight. Did Mr. Zhumagulov get the short end of the stick?
Oh, Jeff Molina, come on down. Yeah, good for. I mean, look, listen, good for him. We think Jeff Molina, there's bright things ahead for him. So certainly good for him to get a win over a guy like Zhalgas, who has just kind of had hard luck on the cards. I think UFC gives him another chance. I think he's 1-3 now in the UFC, I want to say. But the thing with flyweight is there's just no easy fights in that division right now. So, and he came into the UFC with a pretty decent record. So you come in and then you're facing Manel Kopp, Jeff Molina. I mean, it's tough. It's tough. So I hope they keep him around. Was he done wrong? Again, sorry guys, I keep saying I'm not. I'm usually not actually scoring the fights that aggressively, especially on the prelims. We're covering a bunch of other stuff. So the 30-27 did seem bizarre, though. I can say that with as much as I watched. But I would also say, Mike, you're right. The reaction is kind of what made it so much worse, or made it so much more notable, and why everyone's talking about it. Because everyone can now point to that and say, "Well, if Jeff Molina didn't think he won the fight, how can any of the judges think he won the fight?" Which is fair, but it also speaks to what we always say, which is it's really kind of hard for fighters to judge how they're doing unless they're completely dominating in a close fight. Very, very hard for a fighter to figure things out. This is why our own EKC Leiden and others advocate for open scoring, because it would just make things a little bit, it would make things a bit clearer for them, and Jeff Molina wouldn't have that reaction. He might be confused why he's up 2018 on one of the judges' scorecards going to the third, but he wouldn't have that weird emotional feeling of dejection at the end that we saw. Very strange. You just don't see that often. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard for the fighters, even the coaches as well, to really figure out what's being scored. This is a pretty competitive contest too. Like I said, I'd have to watch it again closely, so I don't know how dominant people think Zalgas was, or if they thought that he just did enough to edge out 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3 rounds, as some of the media scores said. But for the most part, I don't know if I saw anything that was like Molina completely being handled. But again, you guys probably paid a little more close attention than I do, so than I did, excuse me, for that particular fight. So I'm not calling anyone out who says a robbery. I'd have to watch it myself. Mike, I don't know. Do you think our word?
It was really close. The 30-27 was a little ridiculous. I've seen way worse scorecards in 30-27 Molina. I guess if you like go back and rewatch it, maybe there's a case, because those are 3 very close rounds.
That's what I thought close. From what I saw. Like I said, I wasn't watching closely, but I thought it. I didn't see either guy pulling away. Yeah.
My biggest issue with this fight, and I hate to just continue to drive this train today, Herrig stopping the action in the second round because of a small hanging piece of tape. Like what a dumb stoppage. Like Molina's coming on. You see Zalgas is getting a little tired. Molina's starting to get some momentum. And then Zalgas like, look at this tape. Oh my God. Herrig stops it. It took like 3 minutes to get the damn tape off. Like
James Krause was not happy. James Krause was not happy. James Krause was not happy. So dumb. That was that. He shouted, right? He actually shouted out during the fight, right? Like something, give him a break or something, right? Yeah.
I completely agreed with him in that moment. Like what a silly stoppage right there. Come on. But yeah, so that's the card. Let's go to the peeps.
For you stat junkies out there, and again, I would always tell people stats do not tell the story of a fight, but they can tell an aspect of a fight. They certainly do not tell the story of a fight. Jeff Molina won the significant strike battle 56-37, 13-7 in round 2, 29-16 in round 3. So if someone wants to be a stat nerd and say that, but again, I think as people are telling me, if you actually pay attention to the fight, there's a very strong case to be made for Zalgas. But the stats, again, as inconsequential as they can be, are in Molina's favor. So if anyone wants to defend a Molina win, go for it. That way, go for it. But I'll definitely take a closer look at the fight and see. I don't know if it's worthy of an official robbery review, but people seem pretty upset about it. So we'll see if justice was served. Again, it looked like a close fight to me, so we may never be able to say for sure.
It was very close, very close. One fighter had something to say about Movsar Evloev's performance. Hello, Casey. His name is Ilia Topuria. I don't know if you saw this, AK.
I didn't.
Ilia Topuria on Twitter, at Movsar UFC. You fight shamefully.
What?
Another decision without any attempt to finish it. On top of that, you don't know how to speak. You don't have the balls to call me out. Oh. Now everyone can really see how you run away shamefully. And then many, many emojis. I mean, many emojis. Ilya.
I thought Ilya is going 55. Is he?
No, it's apparently, and I've since kind of confirmed this, but nothing is done yet. There's discussions about Topuria, Edson Barboza as a possible fight, but apparently maybe talks have hit a little bit of a snag. I thought for sure we'd already be talking about this fight on the books, but apparently it's not done. Topuria earlier this week said, come on, Edson, are we doing this? Sign the contract, answer the phone or whatever, but I still kind of want to see this fight if it happens. I at first I was like, it's too soon, but then you actually put it on the books and then he took it away. And now if we can get it again, I'm down. I'm down for Movsar versus anybody or Ilya versus anybody. Those two guys are going to be in the title hunt for a long time.
That would be a pretty big step backwards ranking-wise for Movsar.
I mean, technically, yes, but again, depending who you ask, like Topuria is a guy who should be facing top 10 opponents right now. But you're right. I mean, if we go by the MMA fighting rankings,
which is the only ones that matter.
Yes, I think next month Evloev will be in the top 10. Topuria, I think, is in there, right? He is currently. He's not.
Not in ours. No
He's
way.
Not.
No way.
I mean, well, let's see. It's going to be interesting come July because there's going to be some changes at 45. Evloev's, I think, is going to take a big step up for sure. So I'm excited to see what it looks like. What are the peeps saying, Casey? What are the peeps saying?
To the peeps. All right. Boom.
Who could stop Evloev's wrestling?
Oh,
Apparently the dog. Apparently the dog can stop Evloev's wrestling at 145. Ha, Shiloh!
I don't know if anyone can stop it, but I'll tell you, like Bryce Mitchell there would be some super fun scrambles there. I don't know if he's just like stuffing Evloev takedowns, but I mean, you want to see a guy who could turn a single leg or a double leg, defend it, and then turn that into like an advantageous position of his own. I think certainly he can do it. Again, I would favor Evloev over him, but I'd love to see that matchup too. I mean, you can go to the top of the division. I mean, obviously the champ is so well-rounded. I don't think anyone dominates him in any area. So, I mean, Volkanov, I assume you mean non-Volkanovski opponents because, again, he's so smart and he's such a well-rounded champion. I'd pick him to kind of be able to counter any sort of style. I feel like I'm forgetting an obvious name here. Sorry, guys. Mike, anyone jumping out for you right away?
I mean, Bryce would be interesting just because I want to see somebody test Bryce. Someone actually push the wrestling pace on him to see how he would, because he's usually the one that's so offensive with his wrestling. He's so aggressive with it.
That's why I like it too.
To see what it looks like with him on the defense. So I do like that. Josh Emmett would actually be interesting. Like if Josh Emmett loses to Calvin Kattar, that's a fine fight for Evloev as well, because Josh is known by, especially some of the newer fans, is this guy who just lands vicious power and knocks people up. But Josh Emmett has a really wrestling pedigree, good defensive wrestler, good offensive wrestler. He just doesn't really use it that often because he just hits so freaking hard. So that would actually be an interesting test. If Kattar beats Josh Emmett, the Evloev Emmett fight, as long as there's not a lot of long-term damage to Emmett, it's something he can bounce back like later on this year, I'm fine with that. I think Evloev versus the loser of that fight makes a lot of sense, if we're being honest.
God, I cannot say his name.
You say Movsar.
Movsar. He's one of those fighters. Like when I was watching the fight, I was thinking, okay, for the next, I don't know, let's call it 5-6 years, this guy is going to be a perennial top 10. I need to freaking memorize his name and learn to say it way better, because it's one of those names we're going to be saying a lot. It's like when Joanna Jędrzejczyk started winning a lot.
Yeah.
I think all the media writers were like, "Ooh, I gotta learn to spell that name. I'm gonna be writing that name a lot."
You gotta break it. You just gotta break it down.
You gotta break it down. Yeah.
Evloev. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's like, I think we're close enough.
I like, actually, as much as I want to see the Mitchell fight, but he has some injury issues right now. I love prospect versus veteran. I don't know if Evo. Oh my God. My mind just won't. My mind can't do it. Movsar. I love seeing him versus Zombie. I want to see him Zombie. I think no one's really held Zombie down and kind of controlled him for 3 rounds, 25 minutes maybe, depending where they put him. But I like that kind of changing the guard. So but right now
everybody wants Zombie. Everybody wants Zombie right now.
All
those guys.
He looks weak right now.
Arnold,
he looks weak right now. Yeah. He looks weak.
They smell blood.
Yeah, they smell blood.
They're the real zombies.
Wow.
I told you guys. It's not 3 in the morning. I'm bringing the heat.
Those are vampires. Not they're. But all right.
This is prime time material you're getting now. All right, prime time material.
All right. It's just a comment from Joseph Boza.
Will a fighter always be nervous to get Herb Dean as a ref? The guy's either too early or too late with the stoppage. Now, if you watched the MMA Hour on Wednesday, Jorge Masvidal was on the program and continued his verbal onslaught of Herb Dean and says if it was up to him, Herb Dean would never referee another one of his fights. Feels like, I believe he used the bias word, that Herb could be a little biased if he doesn't like you. I don't know if I would go that far, but yeah, are we getting to the point, AK, where if you see Herb Dean on the call sheet as your referee, you're like, it's like an umpire in baseball that you feel is a little too loosey-goosey, if you will?
It's like I better just swing because I don't know what the strike zone is going to look like. I better just go up there and take 3 swings because I don't know what's going to be a strike. I don't know what's going to be a ball. Yeah, it's unfortunate that he keeps getting these high-profile assignments. I understand seniority means a lot, Certainly, in his best days, Herb Dean made a lot of great calls. People always point to the Tim Sylvia, Frank Mir, and that's great. He can hang his hat on that forever, all time. Wonderful stoppage. But definitely from week to week, card to card, boy, he has really fallen off in quality. It's not that he always messes up. I mean, I've gone out of my way to praise him when he does well, to praise him. But I also find myself much more easily finding ways to criticize him, because that just happens so much more often. And the stoppage thing has been happening for a long time. I mean, we are talking about since everyone remembers Uriah Faber, Henan Barao, a terrible stoppage.
That was one of the worst.
And that was a long time ago, guys. I mean, that's at least 10 years ago, I think, right? I don't know how in MMA years, maybe it's garbled in my mind. So this is not a recent thing. He's had some issues with stoppage, and it's just been more frequent lately. And as we said, even when he gets it right, the hesitation, the hovering, the uncertainty for the fighters involved, it sucks for them. Not just because if you're the guy on the losing end of it, but also it's unsafe. It's unsafe. People can get hurt when the referee isn't clear with the stoppages. People can get really hurt. So he's done a lot of good work, but boy, he is nowhere near one of the best referees these days. And I hope people recognize that.
You know why this was a quote unquote bad stoppage? Because the fact that we're not even considering Volkov as a performance of the night winner. He knocked out Biggie Boy in 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. Knocked him out technically, but we don't count it that way because we go, Herb Dean kind of screwed up he kind of screwed it up. And it sucks for Volkov. It kind of sucks for Volkov. If Volkov wanted to, I don't know, if it would have been a clean stoppage from Herb Dean, we're talking very differently about the main event. Right now, it was we did Twitter reacts. No one's really talking about it. They were like, it was just a fight. It was 2 top 10 heavyweights. We should be more excited about that, but for some reason, we aren't. And I'm not sure why. I don't know how much of that stoppage had to do with it either. I personally didn't like it, but I get why it was stopped. But from Herb Dean's perspective, dude, just when you see Biggie Boy taking those shots, that's when you go, fight back, fight back, fight back. We see it all the time. He didn't think, he just okay, now it's over. It's just I'm just kind of repeating what Mike said, but yeah. I didn't like the stoppage, but if you are going to stop it, make it definitive, Mm-hmm. And yeah. And hey, it cost Volkov $50,000, I think, too.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't actually watch the fight and you just looked at the UFC's little GIF that they put out of the stoppage, you would think Jairzinho won, because he's just standing there alone with his hands on his hips, and Herb Dean is 2 hands on Volkov against the fence. You would never even think that Volkov actually won. You would have thought he lost, because you don't see the actual sequence before that, which is crazy. But yeah, Herb Dean, hokey pokey Herb, just can't make a decision. We got to get a little better than that.
Yeah,
a little stronger.
Yeah, it's weird.
Where's Jason Herzog? Where is he tonight? He's the new gold standard in my eyes.
He's very good.
He's very good. Was it a Dana White thing? But how did Herb Dean become the gold standard? Do you remember that transition? So obviously it was Big John for years, but then he had a falling outs of the UFC. But how did was there a particular moment in a fight, in a famous pay-per-view that I'm just not thinking of there where we just that's the ref we want in the big fights?
It was the Frank Mir one, and it's the Frank Mir when he broke Tim Sylvia's arm. I mean, Dana White pointed to that so many times whenever talking about Herb Dean. A lot of fans did, and again, it was a great.
The arm broke. Wait, the ref. Hey, arm's broke. That guy's a good ref. I don't get it still.
Listen, that blew Dana White away. All right, Dana White was like, how does he?
How did he know his arm was shouldn't go that way?
A lot of other refs would have let him tear Tim Sylvia's arm off. And that whole, and then Tim Sylvia kind of waving his arm after, I'm fine, but his arm was flopping around. The whole scene was really played out well for Herb Dean. And I think for a while, he was getting, a lot of main events and fight, he was part of a lot of memorable moments. And moments that were without controversy, but we just see his face and we associated Herb Dean with a lot of big fights, and then we say, oh, Herb Dean must be doing a great job. And that's the way it was for years. Now we still see him in a lot of big fights, but a lot of these fights end in controversy, and I would think it's going the other way. But I mean, whenever there's these kind of online voting things, who's the best referee, a lot of people still say Herb Dean. So
does he win every year, at the Fighters Only Awards?
Yes, the Fighters Only Awards. He has been dominant. He's had a dynasty.
He's the Ariel Helwani of refs.
Listen, people just know him, I guess, right? That thing is, your name, at some point, your reputation precedes you. His actual reputation has not landed, has not apparently established with people, but again, I think people are starting to learn that he's not the ref he once was.
Yeah. And before we move on, just want to say, Herb Dean, he's a super nice guy. I've talked to him, met him plenty of times. He's a human being. That's all. He's just a human being, and they make mistakes. And I just think you have to give other refs, like Jason Herzog, bigger opportunities to cover, to ref these big fights. And that's all. I'm really not trying to trash Herb Dean at all. It's just like it is a super tough job that sucks actually. And it's just, he's not a bad person. or like Masvidal says, like he's biased or something. No, that's just he's a human. He's gonna make mistakes.
He was still the third worst referee on the card. Like there were still two worse than him. Tione and Mark Smith were both worse than Herb Dean. We're talking about him because he was in the main event and he wasn't as aggressive on the stoppage, and that's been his issue. There's just that you got to be in definitive. This is not the first time. This is not even the second time we're having this conversation. But still, he was not the worst of the night. So yes, he's human. Hopefully, he can get over that hump.
This main event needed the guy who did Benoit Saint-Denis last fight. I'm telling you, Kiselev. We needed Kiselev in there. You wouldn't have had an early stoppage then. You might not have had a stoppage at all. These two guys could have been beating each other into a living death, and you wouldn't have had a stoppage.
Ooh, nice.
If Kiselev was involved.
Nice Tito reference.
Yeah, nice.
Who is the Phoenix referee? Who is that awful Phoenix referee?
For what fight?
Really, really bad. I'm trying to remember. If Shaheen's watching right now, I'm sure.
Was it a local Arizona ref? One of those, like we only see him in Arizona. Yeah, okay.
It sure was. It was. I can't remember what it was. It was really terrible. I'll figure it out.
Okay.
We'll figure it out. Continue on with the peeps.
All right. This one's for AK, so I want him to say it.
Oh, pure evil MMA. Oh day, oh day, oh day, oh day, oh day. I hated that he had to try and start to get that going in the Apex. Like I know there's people in the Apex now, but like even if you get everyone going in the Apex, it's not going to have that same effect as what he was. Because if he had this in arena, like 15,000, 20,000 seat arena, God, how much fun would that have been? You know what I mean? Even if they don't. Combat sports fans, in case you know, especially pro wrestling fans, but combat sports fans in general love chanting things. They might not have heard a single word of the rest of his promo, which was pretty solid promo overall. They might not have heard a single word. Once he started the O'Day chant, people would have jumped in. It would have been a great clip for the UFC to put out there. I don't know if they still did, but it didn't have quite the same effect. So hopefully O'Day Osborne next time he fights is in an arena or a stadium, and he gets a win and gets to do this again, because that was a very good bit of marketing there.
It was good. Yeah, it needed more than 15 people. That was the
problem. Al Guiney. Al Guiney is the referee. Remember the Paul Craig Jamal Hill fight with Jamal Hill's arm was broken for about 13 and a half minutes in the fight, and he just let the fight continue to go on. That was bad. That was really awful.
A name even sounds like a bad ref.
Yeah, like
I'm just gonna.
Was that not the American Gladiators guy? Was that not the American? No, who was the American Gladiators? There was a referee for American Gladiators.
American Gladiators had a referee. Oh yeah, you're right. They did. You're right. Yeah. Oh, who's gonna keep score? Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking of season the new version. I'll get. It was Al something. I apologize. It was
the new version. Get out of here. Okay, great performance. I think they got something with this guy. I felt like they've had something with this guy for a while. I think he's great at 125. And he could be a problem at 125. I like him as an up and comer in this division for sure.
All right.
What?
Al Kaplan. I'm sorry. Al Kaplan. Shout out to Al Kaplan.
I remember that name. I do remember that name. That's
the
funny.
2008 version of Gladiators, starring, of course, Gina Carano.
Oh yes.
The Mandarin or Mandolin? Is that the Mandolin?
The Mandalorian. Captain Corelli's mandolin. They turned Captain Corelli's mandolin into a 10-part Disney Plus series. It's pretty great.
My gosh. All right, what else we got?
Okay.
We're going off the rails. We're yelling at dogs.
Remember you got kicked off the mandolin?
You got kicked off the mandolin? I mean, gosh.
All right, let's talk who had the best call outs tonight? This afternoon, rather. Any good ones that stuck out? Any bad ones? Any misses?
You know what? I'm actually going to go with Jeff Molina on this one on Twitter, because O'Day Osborne, literally, 3 seconds after he knocked out Zhumagulov, he went to Twitter and said, "I'll fight O'Day," or something to that effect. Like within seconds, before I even saw the finish, Jeff Molina was already tweeting out he wants to fight O'Day Osborne. So good on him. I'll go with that. But Movsar Evloev was good as well.
Yeah, they were good. I like it was what did he call Arnold Allen? He said something like he's ducking him, or was there some sort of Twitter beef there, or was he just calling a name higher on the
Apparently, I mean, he was saying I think he was saying that there were potential offers for that fight and Arnold turned it down.
One of those things, yeah.
Who the hell knows? Only a couple people know the actual story there.
You know, a call out kind of flew under the radar was Erin Blanchfield. She actually had a couple of names early on. She wasn't very emphatic about it because she was sort of mixed it in with talking about like, oh, here's how I got the finish, but then she mentioned Macy Barber, Jessica Eye upcoming fight, and she said one of those. That is perfect.
And she goes, I will finish them. And I will finish them.
And I wouldn't doubt it.
Finish them too. I liked it.
Yeah. She's got some serious skills.
Let's talk a little bit about Erin Blanchfield.
To me, I thought Erin Blanchfield, JJ Aldrich should have been fight of the night. It was a great fight, but JJ fought the perfect fight until Erin won. I mean, it was good. It was a good competitive fight.
You can't put that over Almeida Trezano. Trezano had what three total knockdowns, like one knockdown in each round. The other one, that's just. I mean, you got to reward that. It was a good fight.
But let's talk about just Erin Blanchfield in general. What did you guys think of the performance when you saw it live?
Went almost exactly like I think we'd all said. Well, I think I thought it would go to decision. Mike, I don't know if you'd said decision as well.
I did.
Yeah, I would, because JJ Aldrich is a tough out. She's tough to put away. Macy Barber did, but two things. It kind of turned out the way we expected. We all said JJ Aldrich was a much tougher opponent than Erin Blanchfield has faced so far, and then people were giving JJ Aldrich credit for. She's been in the UFC for a long time. She's fought a lot of tough competition. She's a good striker, and she's the better striker than Erin Blanchfield, frankly. And she showed that. She showed that for the majority of the fight. But that Erin Blanchfield has, I think, a little bit of athleticism advantage, a great killer instinct that you cannot teach. I was so amazed when she got that kind of tripped her up with that knee to the body, and then just went in. So I'm going in. Just made up her mind. I am going in. I am going to. I've had a lot of trouble getting takedowns. This is my chance to grapple. It's not ideal, but this is my chance to grapple. Gets in there, shows off her amazing grappling, gets that guillotine, and gets the finish. And unfortunately for JJ, again, this is very similar to the Macy Barber fight, where she actually looked pretty good in the first round. And again, I don't know if it's an athleticism gap or defensive lapses, but for some reason, once the other person kind of starts putting it on her, it just everything kind of breaks down. So she is tough. Again, she got 7 wins in the UFC, guys. 7 out of 11. That's pretty damn good. But these young prospects just seem to have a little bit extra, another level that maybe she isn't quite at. And we saw that with Erin Blanchfield. But this doesn't take anything from JJ Aldrich. She fought a great fight. Just Erin Blanchfield is super legit.
I was super impressed. I feel if this fight was higher in the card, we'll be talking about it in terms of I can't believe she didn't get the performance of the night, because I thought that was a super high level guillotine. Just like you said, her killer instincts when it comes to those submissions are just top notch. And the way that little, I can't remember, I think was it a knee or a kick or something. She kind of tripped JJ and then got her back and just perfect shoulder pressure, snuck that arm in, elbow up. I was like, oh, it was just spicy. It was I just want to see more Erin Blanchfield, and I love the call out. And Erin Blanchfield, if Macy Barber does win, that'll be pretty awesome. I think that's just a super cool fight. Big heavy striker. What do you think? What are you thinking? What are you thinking, Mr. Heck?
I actually I was fine. I was fine with the call. I didn't not like the call out. I thought she should have just called out Tracy Cortez and just said, "Hey, I'm surging, you're surging. I won that first fight. I got robbed in that first fight. So let's just run it back. We'll make some more money. Let's show the world what actually happened the first time we fought." I think that's a great fight. I actually think that's the perfect step up right now, because Cortez is undefeated in the UFC. Blanchfield's undefeated in the UFC. Cortez is back down to 125, coming off the win over Melissa Gatto. She got a lot of credit for that win. Yeah. I mean, I kind of like that fight. I think that's a better one. I feel like Erin, you could just slowly build up, just a step at a time. There's no need to rush her right now. There's no need to rush her. The Jessica Eye fights, the Joanne Wood fights, the Macy Barber fights, those fights will be there in the next 18 months. or so, you'll have the chance to fight all of these women. But let's slow our roll a little bit. Just step by step by step. You'll get there. She's super young. She's talented as hell. She'll fight for a title. She'll be fighting for a championship by 2025. There's no doubt about it. But I'd rather see her take the slow burn. But I mean, I don't mind the call out. I don't dislike it, but I don't know if she gets that fight.
I do like what you're saying, Mr. Heck. If I'm Tracy Cortez, I just cover my ears and don't check my email because that is not a good fight for Miss Cortez. If anyone goes back on, maybe it's on, I don't know where you would find that fight on Fight Pass or whatever, but watch the first fight and and they were both super green too. And but I think Erin has just leveled up her game a little bit more than Miss Cortez. But Oh.
Yes, happy retirement to Felice Herrig. That was a fun fight. Karolina looked real good, but listen, Felice looked good too. They went in there and scrapped. They scrapped in that first round. Karolina got cooking and kind of just ran her over at the end, but Felice was game, and she fought like that was going to be her last fight. And she walked away at the right time, dropped the mitts in the middle of the cage. Nice speech at the end. I think we sang her praises yesterday in the preview show, and rightfully so. She's a pioneer in a lot of ways for fighters, especially women fighters, finding extra ways to promote themselves and make money outside of the octagon. She's done a tremendous job of that, and I think she'll be fine. And I can't believe she's 37. Good for her.
Yeah. And I just want to obviously happy trails, Miss Herrig, and but also applause to the UFC production crew and Paul Felder for giving Felice that opportunity to say that in the mic. I thought it was nice. I thought it fit well in the show, and I like when the UFC gives time to these fighters, especially off a loss. You know, it's like, and it's easy just to go, okay, later, leave your gloves here, you know, and they'll leave a little Instagram post, but it's nice that they have time in the cage to do that for everyone. So, and great job by Felder, kind of handling. And that's one of those things, I think, being a fighter like Paul Felder over, say, someone like a Rogan, I think Felder is much more sympathetic to Herrig. And I was kind of surprised they went to her, honestly, but I'm glad they did.
Yeah, whoever it is.
Great all night. Paul
Felder is absolutely one of the best. But whoever it is that's making these decisions, whether it's Dana White or some other official or just maybe some staff that has a say in it, is doing a great job. Because they also did a video for Marlon Moraes. I remember when he retired, which was really surprising. I was just like, because these are people who Marlon Moraes, he's fought for a title but was never a champion in the UFC. Felice Herrig never fought for a title, but I think they're respecting their contributions and that you don't have divisions you don't have strong divisions without fighters like this. And Marlon was a strong bantamweight contender for a long time. Felice Herrig, I think if people kind of look back on her story, I always tell people, like, man, she is the rare fighter that was really making a name for herself outside the UFC. Before there was a women's flyweight division, when they were still kind of establishing women as draws in the UFC. Felice Herrig was outside of it, fighting for Bellator, made an appearance for Invicta, and just fighting for other promotions, just branding herself. And it wasn't always easy back then. Let me tell you, when she started fighting 2009, and really started to rise in prominence 2011, 2012, 10 years ago, the MMA scene was very different for women. So she, she made the most of her charisma, of her looks, whatever it is that she had to offer, and good for her. And she was still winning fights. And when she finally made it to the UFC, she did all right. She won 4 straight at one point, and and has a lot to be proud of. So good for her. It sounds like she's got other revenue streams coming in, and she got to go out her own way, because she said, look, had 2 knee injuries, easily could have retired without fighting again, but she got to go in there at least one more time. So a nice ending to her career.
Cool.
Agreed.
Let me see what we got. Ooh, just throwing low.
It's like one. You are. AK's on another one today.
Again, this is when it's not 3 a.m. Yeah. Not 3 a.m. We've got a little more gas in the tank, all of us, I think.
I love the I just saw the tweet of Gianni, the Greek gambler from the UFC.
Oh,
Did you see this? You saw it, AK.
Yeah.
He put out his parlay and all 5 legs lost.
Well, it was a 5-leg underdog parlay too. All
5 legs lost.
It was all underdog. I was like, dude, I mean, was maybe was like just throw $5 and you might win $10,000 type of parlay.
It
But
says $50 to win
50 to
almost
win
$4,000 almost.
yeah, it just
That's hilarious.
that's never gonna look great when you lose every leg of it. Yeah.
It's so irresponsible too because this is a guy you're on TV. There are people who are actually going to kind of follow your bets. Like I know $50 isn't the end of the world. $50 is a lot for people.
$50 is a lot.
$50 is a lot of money. I couldn't even.
That's
say
like
that.
2 gallons of gas.
Yeah. So Gianni, listen, I know you've been in this, parlaying odds making business a lot longer than I have, but let's go easy. Let's go easy on these crazy all underdog parlays. Come on now.
And if you took my advice for the 3 lock parlay, you would have won. And people are giving me crap for it. I picked Renat. I picked Damon Jackson. That wasn't a far stretch. And who was the other one? There's one other one that I was very confident in. Evloev.
Blanchfield?
Those are the 3.
Oh.
The 3 legs. Those are the 3 legs. Those are guaranteed.
Oh, what were my locks? I said
Menifield.
I said Blanchfield. I said Movsar. Okay, yeah. I mean, I didn't exactly pick I picked probably 3 of the biggest favorites in the card.
Hey, that's why they're locks.
But my actual biggest lock that I turned into was Kowalkiewicz Herrig goes the distance, and that didn't happen. So hopefully we didn't miss me there. But I don't think I was crazy for throwing that one out there. Anything else?
We didn't get any questions about it, but I just want to say I'm happy to see Dan, the determined Argueta in the UFC.
I think it's Argueta.
Argueta.
I think so.
I spent a lot of time at Jackson Wink down in Albuquerque, and he was kind of one of those guys like Lando Venata, who's the guy that does the crazy kicks, the Beverly Hills Ninja, what's his name?
Jordan Wright.
Jordan Wright. He was just always one of those guys I always saw in the gym, and I was like, who's that? And they were super nice, and they're like, oh, you'll see him soon. So it sucks that he had to take a fight clearly at a weight class he's not at, but I think he's going to be a nice addition to the bantamweight division. And looks like
he looked good tonight too.
He looked good tonight.
He gave him some problems.
If you look at those 2 guys, at the end of the fight, who do you think? Who would you say have won if you didn't watch it?
You know what? I was gonna say, I didn't watch it super closely. I think I tuned out maybe the 3rd round because there's something else going on. But I think that first round, I had it for Dan because I thought he was doing way more damage with just punching Damon Jackson in the face. I said he had his eyes freaking swollen up. It's like we judge it by damage, and there were no serious submissions. He was just kind of locked in that body lock. But overall, Damon Jackson did win the fight, I felt. But yeah, he looked good. Next fight, we'll see his full potential. And for our last question, let's talk about the other feel-good story.
What is next for Karolina?
There was a part of me that thought we were going to get a dual retirement tonight. I actually did think that if Felice won, I thought Felice Herrig was retiring for sure, win or lose. And then I thought if Karolina Kowalkiewicz lost, obviously she might consider retirement as well. Maybe not leave the gloves in the cage, but I could see within the next 2 weeks some sort of public statement, social media post saying that she's walking away. Now that she's won, she probably wants to hang around. Again, she looked good. It is a bit weird to say that she broke her losing streak by beating the last person she beat, Felice Herrig, almost 4 years ago. So, I mean, good. Listen, hey, you beat who you can beat. So good for her for getting this opponent again, a winnable fight again. I see some of the comments in there. A lot of people calling for Angela Hill. I think that makes a lot of sense.
That's not bad. That makes sense too. Yeah,
it's a competitive fight. It's both fighters with I think records that don't reflect how talented they are and the competition they face. They both face just nothing but top competition pretty much since coming to the UFC. So yeah, they have sub 500 UFC records. But I mean, who have they fought? Right, like Claudia Gadelia, Joanna Jacek, Michelle Watterson. Just throw everyone out there. Just some great names. So I think that's probably the perfect matchup. We only do main card fighters on to the next one, but I think if Karolina was on there, we probably both would have landed on Angela Hill.
That makes a lot of sense.
Torres is not a bad choice. Or if you're gonna do the prospect route, I think Lupi Godinez would be an interesting challenge. I don't like it for Karolina.
I don't like it for
Karolina very much.
I said feel good story. Why are you trying to do this to Karolina?
But I mean, she still has a name. She's a former title challenger, and yeah, I mean, per Angela Hill's fine.
Yeah.
I am not better than Karolina. Oh wait. This means that you can't do math that way. I mean, I agree. Yeah, no, I agree with the premise. But guys, math doesn't work. You don't do the.
I like Angela Hilla.
Angela Hill, also inaccurate. But yeah, of course, I bow down to both these ladies. They're both great performers. And really happy to see Karolina get a win.
Yeah, it felt good. It felt good. And no mention of the fact that Biggie Boy has now lost 2 straight fights.
Oh, Mo, my main storyline going into the card. How did I not bring it up? That's right, guys. You win of everything that happened tonight. You witness history.
We saw history.
Jairzinho Rozenstruik, the first time ever he has lost 2 straight fights. It was either going to be Volkov losing 2 straight fights in the UFC for the first time, or Jairzinho losing 2 straight fights in his career for the first time. My goodness, we've finally seen some cracks in the invincible aura of Jairzinho Rozenstruik. So how did I thank you, Casey, for bringing that up. Everyone was talking about it before.
Yeah. I mean, I had all these comments, and it was just like my inbox is overflowing right now. Like, you gotta ask AK about the 2 losses.
Well, there you go. History was made, and it's just about 8 p.m. Eastern, and we're done.
Is there still sunlight on the East Coast? You still have sunlight?
It is. Wow. I'm about to go walk the dog for a minute. And I mean, it wouldn't be.
Hello, Grayson Puppet.
Yeah, we're all here. Okay. All right. We're done. AK, I'll see you tomorrow morning for on to the next one. For AK, for Casey on the ones and twos, I am Mike Heck. For my kid and his puppets and the damn dog, good night, everybody.
Bye. Happy birthday, AK.
On my birthday.
I'm a puppet. It's your birthday.
But it felt like it today with the early card.